Hi, this is Dev Gosain with a short video presentation on the Rotary Club of San Fernando South's education project. It is entitled Future Proofing Our Educators. In this project, we are ensuring and we are equipping our educators with the necessary tools to provide effective and efficient online teaching to their charges. I am Dev Gosain, past president, past assistant governor, and past district secretary of Rotary District 7030. Let us now examine some of the elements. This is not an exhaustive list. It is sometimes modified based on the needs of the school. But this is a typical list of some of the things that we will be covering in our training session. And some of these will include, but not limited to, optimizing Wi-Fi signals for learning at home, domain registration, setting up Google Classroom, conducting surveys, conducting formative and summative assessments, some copyright laws, cloud computing, cloud storage, resources, and of course, the way forward. As educators, we must understand that the lifeline of our training or intervention in a student's learning process is dependent on the internet. So we must ensure that the signals that we have as educators and our students have as educators are indeed optimal. And therefore, we will look at the topography of the Wi-Fi setup in both the educator's home and the student's home. We will look also at your Wi-Fi home setup, where it should be in relation to where you are located in terms of your study or your classroom or the student's study area. We'll also learn to maximize the signal strengths based on the type of router you have and some of its other characteristics. One of the other services we provide is domain registration. You see that in order to get a free G Suite, Google Classroom, or Google for Education account, you should have an edu.tt. In the case of Trinidad and Tobago, if you're in Barbados, it might be edu.bb. You must have that domain. And we actually provide that free registration, and we will get the school administration on board with the correct domain so that they can now access all the various educational platforms free of charge. Another area of our focus is our ability to actually engage the teachers in setting up Google Classroom. And here we have a number of classes being set up. And this is an example of one of the schools that we have done some work with. And here we will set up this classroom, show them the code to join the class. And of course, we would have all the resources, all the materials in the class. So we show them how to actually, post stuff for teachers or students to join and use. So here we've set up certain sections like resources, assessments, and some topics for teachers to use in their classroom and students, of course, to engage themselves. One of the activities in the Google Classroom is conducting surveys. And here the information is presented in the form of a word cloud. This is the word cloud from another school that we did some training with. Of course, the larger or the greater the frequency of a certain response, the larger it would appear in the word cloud. Another area of focus that we did quite extensively is formative and summative assessments. As you all know, a formative assessment is done after a certain topic was covered to ensure that there is good understanding by the students. Summative assessment, however, might be conducted at the end of term to get the final mark and so on. And we actually looked at instruments that can be used to conduct these summative and formative assessments, some of which might be actually self-marking. So once administered, the marks will be captured immediately as soon as the student hits that submit button. So it certainly saves the teacher tremendous amount of time and work. Other areas we looked at are things like copyright laws for printed material. In teachers' attempt to get information, sometimes they might be infringing certain copyright laws, which are actually international laws. Another thing that we looked at in a particular learning environment or educational institution is the need for a student code of conduct. And here we have a certain example of a student code of conduct which must be distributed to parents, students, and all stakeholders actually that are involved in this teaching learning process at the said institution. Other areas we look at are things like cloud computing. What is cloud computing? We have to actually look at cloud computing applied to our schools. How would it impact our school, its learning, and its effectiveness of learning as well. We look at some of the topographies that might be involved in cloud computing, and of course some of the advantages of cloud computing as opposed to what presently exists in many of our institutions. It is imperative that all intervention strategies must be assessed. So we even conduct pre-intervention assessments, and we see that before the intervention, the average score was 1.4 in this particular institution. After the intervention, and this intervention lasted probably just about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours maximum. This is what the score was for the entire members of staff. So we have covered the topics that we had planned to, as can be seen by this little checklist. We have actually added a tremendous amount of resources in each of the Google classes that we've set up. And we have also demonstrated to the educators that this could also be a permanent repository for resources for our students. The way forward. How do we as educators prepare ourselves to continuously retool our toolbox? And that actually is something that we actually demonstrate to the teachers or the educators as well, that we could actually self-teach ourselves, and we need to, because it's important to understand that while the information is out there, we need to know how to search for it. We need to know how to access that information. And that information about accessing the knowledge that we need to use is also demonstrated to our educators. So the educators themselves, after this program, could actually move forward on their own. The Rotary Club of Fernando South stands ready to assist many of these institutions after they have been using the program, after they've been using some of the tools they have learned. We stand ready, and we have actually been called upon to deliver further training for the staff. This is Dev Gosain on behalf of the Rotary Club of San Fernando South, thanking you very much for viewing this very short presentation on our education project, which is entitled Future-Proofing Our Educators. Thank you so very much, and please stay safe in this COVID environment.